Tinapay mula sa langit. A daily morning devotion with CRC family.
Moses is the source and primary author of the Book of Numbers, which is the fourth volume in the Pentateuch. Its English name comes from the censuses in chapters 1 to 4 and 26. Numbers tells of Israel's journey from Mount Sinai to the borders of the Promised Land, summarizing some 40 years of the nation's history. With Israel being freed from slavery in Egypt and then receiving the law, Exodus and Leviticus, the Book of Numbers begins with the people's final preparations to leave Sinai. It then records their triumphal setting out, before a series of events in which the people grumbled about the difficulty of the journey and the impossibility of conquering Canaan. This response led God to delay their entry to Canaan by 40 years. The closing chapters of the book tell how the people at last set out again and reached the banks of the Jordan, ready to cross into the land promised to their forefathers. The story begins at Mount Sinai and includes Kadesh, Mount Hor, the plains of Moab, the Sinai Desert, and concludes at the boundaries of Canaan. A census or count of the people was needed to prepare them for future tasks. The first census organized the people by tribes for their journey ahead. The second census, in chapter 26, counted the men 20 years and older who could serve in the army. Rebellion against God brings bad consequences. Instead of believing Joshua and Caleb, the only two spies who said Israel could conquer Canaan, the people did not trust God and refused to cross into the Promised Land. For their lack of faith, they wandered 40 years in the desert until all but a few of that generation had died. God does not tolerate sin. God, who is holy, let time and the desert take the lives of those who disobeyed him. The next generation, free of the influence of Egypt, were prepared to be a separate, holy people, loyal to God. Today, Jesus Christ saves, but God expects us to make every effort to drive sin from our lives. Canaan was the fulfillment of God's promises to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The Jewish people grew in numbers during their 400 years of slavery in Egypt. They were now strong enough, with God's help, to conquer and populate the Promised Land. God's word is good. He rescues his people.